Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know I'm in a very different setup here. I'm temporarily staying in an apartment. I have not slept. I don't have any of my usual equipment, and my allergies are killing me. So bear with me. I'm just trying to keep up with content here on YouTube. So if you're new to this channel, my name is Megan, and I work with agencies and freelancers to help them land clients and grow their businesses. If you have any sort of client-based business, you are going to have wonderful clients, and you're going to have some that have slightly more difficult personalities. I've dealt with a lot of clients over the last 12-ish years of first being a freelancer and then having my agency. And in this video, I want to share some of my worst client stories. But why should you care? What I'm going to share with you, these are very cliche, stereotypical nightmare clients. So I'm going to tell you what happened to me, and then we're going to talk about red flags you should look out for and how you can handle these situations better than I did to save yourself a lot of time and many headaches. And if you see me looking down, it's because I got my notes right here. All right, so the first nightmare client I call the bully. About 4 years ago, I had a client in the nutrition space. I'm not going to name any names in this video, but anyhow, it was a newer company, but it was growing very quickly, and they worked with a lot of professional athletes. So I was stoked to be working with this brand, and I worked directly with the owner. This was a huge opportunity for my agency, and the pay was very nice. Right off the bat, this guy was super intense and loud and aggressive, and I don't even automatically think that these are bad things. In fact, I consider myself a fairly aggressive person, just more quietly so. We delivered amazing results for this guy. The numbers proved it. It couldn't have gone any better. I lasted 3.5 months working for him. He would yell at me. He would call me names. He would swear at me. I don't mind a little bit of swearing, but he would swear at me, like he would cuss me out. He would criticize me and belittle me. He would call, text, anytime, day or night, Monday through Sunday. He didn't care. He was making me physically ill. So one day I emailed him and I told him I couldn't work with him anymore. All right, so let's talk about red flags. First thing, you always want to pay attention to the words that your clients are using, okay? So not just their tone. Listen to the actual words that are coming out of their mouths. This guy would talk down to his employees in front of me on phone calls or Zoom calls. He would talk badly about them to me behind their backs. He was critical of literally everybody and actually told me point blank, and this is a direct quote, "Everyone around me is an idiot." That's what he said about the team of people that he hired. One thing I've learned in life is that whenever a person says that everyone else is the problem, odds are they're actually the problem. All right, how should you handle the bully if you run into one yourself? First of all, don't wait 3.5 months like I did. The instant a client starts speaking down to you or talking about other people to you in a negative way, you need to redirect the conversation. These are not conversations you want to be a part of. I know we all like gossiping a little bit, but conversations purely based around trashing other people are toxic, unhealthy, unprofessional, and not constructive at all. And especially when any of this anger or negativity is directed towards you, like if they're raising their voice, if they're starting to call you names, you need to cut them off immediately. Copy exactly what I'm telling you. If you can't think of what to say, what I would say is, "I will not be spoken to like this. If you'd like to have a respectful conversation, we can continue. Otherwise, I'm going to hang up." I know it's really scary, but you have to stick up for yourself because they're not going to do it for you. Normally, I would tell you that you can't change people, and I still largely believe that. However, I had another nightmare client from hell and worked really hard to salvage the relationship, and I did. And it was great. That brings us to number 2, the narcissist. I had a client years ago, brilliant guy, classic textbook narcissist, okay? He thought very highly of himself to a concerning extent. Like it was so over the top and such a caricature that you would speak to him and actually wonder if he was joking. But he wasn't. So whatever, having a big ego is one thing, but it didn't end there. He treated his staff, he treated his vendors like me, like absolute trash. Yelling, name calling, no boundaries, completely inappropriate behavior. Entire conversations would center around how he could do all of our jobs better than we did, which is obviously incorrect and also incredibly demoralizing. Everybody was his punching bag, and this was very obvious to me. I knew it wasn't me, it was him, and I thought, well, I'm not going to change this person, but I wanted to try because there were a lot of reasons to have hope about this client. All right, so let's talk red flags early on. One of the biggest, and I know a lot of freelancers out there are dealing with this because you tell me you are. One of the biggest red flags was that I am, a business owner, but from the get-go, he was treating me like an employee, and he treated all of his employees like garbage. This is dangerous because if you are like me and you are a people pleaser and an overachiever, then you're just going to let this client get away with whatever they want because you want to satisfy them. I am sitting in front of a window and a man just walked right by me. This is incredibly uncomfortable. Let's keep going. Fixing this relationship took many, many instances of me kind of correcting the behavior. Okay, so if he cut me off, which he did all the time, I would cut him off back. If he talked over me or talked louder, I would match him. I stopped being scared of disagreeing with him or telling him he was wrong or that I thought he was wrong. I'd remind him that he hired me because I am the expert of what I do, just like he's the expert of what he was doing. So what do you do? If you can tell from the beginning that a client has a very big personality, first, this doesn't have to be a bad thing. The thing is, you have to figure out how to communicate with them. So using myself as an example, the way I would communicate with all of my other clients, I realized fairly quickly that form of communication wasn't going to work with this client. He wasn't going to be receptive to it. You have to come a little bit closer to matching the narcissist. Now, I want to be very clear. This doesn't mean being mean like they are, okay? We're not talking about giving it back to them like when they're mean to you, dish it right back out. It means being as loud as they are, but in a positive way. Because again, if it's not positive, if it's not constructive, then all you're doing is trying to fight fire with fire. So for example, if you're talking to a client and they interrupt you, you cut them off and you can politely say, well, hold on, hang on a minute, let me finish explaining this so you have the full picture. Nightmare client number 3, another one you are very likely to run into. I didn't know what to call this person, so I'm calling them the impossible to pleaser. That is the extent of my creativity for today. So I've had a few clients like this, but there was one in particular that was really bad. Nothing we ever did could satisfy them ever. Even though we had the data to back up our wins, we could prove with numbers and analytics and metrics that we were delivering. So we were providing blogging and SEO, and like we always do, we were tracking all of our work. My agency tracks our work very diligently so that we can share our wins as well as setbacks with our clients. The problem was, from day one, this client was actively looking for things that were going wrong. Nothing was going wrong, so they would make it up. They would Google a random keyword, and then they would email us in caps asking why they weren't ranking for it. And at first I thought, okay, maybe they just don't understand how content works, how SEO works, which totally understandable. That's why people pay me, because I understand it. So I explained it to them in what I thought was, more than enough detail. And this continued happening over and over and over again. If I knew that we weren't delivering, I probably would have been nervous. But more than anything, I was just dumbfounded. All right, so red flags. If a client is picking you apart from the beginning, it is not good, especially in the beginning. They should be hopeful and excited and supportive. But if they speak to you in a way that tells you that they are already assuming you're going to fail, it's because they actually want you to fail. I know that sounds crazy, especially because they are paying you to win, but I don't know how to explain it other than some people are weird. So one thing you can do to handle this situation a little better is from the get-go, you need to be extra clear about expectations, okay? You need to put it in writing. A phone call isn't enough. So at some point, there needs to be email communication where you say to this client in no uncertain terms, this is what we're going to do. These are our goals. And you also need to be very careful that you never guarantee anything, because when it comes to, the digital marketing world, like 99.99999% of the time, we can't guarantee results. Do not shrink back. Do not apologize if you haven't done something wrong. This was a mistake I made so many times. Sometimes we apologize to people to pacify them and get back in their good graces, but when you apologize, that tells them, oh, okay, she realizes she did something wrong and she's apologizing for it. So clearly she knows she was in the wrong. If you screw up, then apologize. Of course, we're all human. If you don't screw up, do not apologize. It throws off the dynamics of this relationship, and it kind of puts the client here and you here. And like I've said in my videos a million times, client, you're on the same level. Another important lesson to remember, if someone is looking for something wrong, they're going to find it. That's life in general. That's not just business. Even if they have to make it up, they will find something wrong to blame you for. Now, I want to be sure I mention that these clients are definitely extremes, and they should be the exception to the rule. This is why I'm always telling my students in Revenue Spark, if you get a bad gut feeling about a potential client, listen to your gut, because it's there to do a job. Do not build a business working with clients you don't like. Overwhelmingly, my experiences have been positive. But when you're a client-based business, you're going to have a ton of learning and adapting to do, because part of your job as a business owner of a client-based business, it's going to be dealing with a lot of personalities. And that can be really hard. All right, so moral of the story, I've got 3 key takeaways here for you. Number 1, speak up early and often. Don't wait. Number 2, this is kind of redundant. You set the standards for how people treat you, okay? It's up to you, not them. All right, number 3, always respond positively. And when I say that, that doesn't mean doing whatever you can think of to try to satisfy the client. What I mean is don't fight anger with anger. Don't fight hate with hate, okay? That's just gonna make things worse. It's adding fuel to the fire. You wanna redirect the conversation to a more constructive place. Finding quality clients and the right clients for you is a focal point of my program, Revenue Spark. I mentioned earlier, I'm always telling my students, work with people you like, okay? You don't have to be best friends. We're still gonna get on each other's nerves. We're human. It's human nature to sometimes butt heads a little bit, but generally, you should like the people that you work with. All right. If you need help finding your dream clients and approaching them, then just scroll down and click on the link below this video to learn more about my program, Revenue Spark, the Client Accelerator. You can check out the curriculum, a few testimonials, and if you would like to speak more about potentially enrolling, you can book a call to talk with me. Oh, by the way, would you like to say hello, sir? Come here. This little guy was behind me the whole time. He's the supervisor on set. All right, go back to sleep. Anywho, thanks again for being here. If you found this video valuable, then I would really appreciate if you could give it a thumbs up and tell YouTube that you like my content. I'm leaving on the screen 2 more videos that I think you might be interested in. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, just leave them in a comment below. See you next time.